Hi guys, I am back today with an easy DIY swing set build. This is a build that I did in about an hour all by myself. I really only needed help when it was time to lift that swing set into place, and that only took 2 adults. But it is a super sturdy swing set, so even adults can swing on this swing set without worrying about tipping it over. In addition to being a swing set that is even big enough for adults, it is also a budget-friendly build. So I built this whole swing set, including all of the wood and the 3 swings that are on it, for about $275. Those A-frame swing brackets I ordered off of Amazon for about $50 for the pair, and they come with the lag screws or the lag bolts that you need to install them into the wood. You'll need to get the wood at your local favorite hardware store. And I ordered the swing separately too. So I'll link to everything in the description that I used for this swing set build. Here's a quick look at how I built this swing set. Now those A-frame brackets, they come with instructions. They're kind of vague, but the build is not very hard. I started by marking the placement for the swings on the 10-foot long 4x6 that I use for this build. So I'm using pressure treated pine for this build. I bought that 4x6 as a 12-foot long 4x6, and I wish, after doing the build, I wish I had left it at 12 feet long, because I think that would have been better for 3 different swings, just to have enough spacing between the swings so that the kids don't knock into each other if they start swinging side to side or being crazy like kids. With these A-frame brackets, you'll want to have the swings 18 inches away from the sides. And a good spacing between the swings is probably 18 to 20 inches. Mine are 16 inches, but I think the extra 2 inches probably would have been a big help. Again, I have a 6-year-old that likes to sort of swing side to side, so they haven't knocked into each other, but I would like the extra spacing just to have peace of mind. So I marked the spacing with my T-square and a pencil, and all you really need for the rest of the build is a drill with a socket drill bit or a socket wrench or adjustable socket wrench, something like ratcheting socket wrench. Any of those are going to be great. You'll also need a drill bit that is slightly smaller than the lag screws that come with the hardware so that you can pre-drill the holes. You always have to pre-drill with lag screws. Before I assembled the swing set, I attached the hardware for the swings to the 4x6 post. That just makes it easier to do before it's up in the air and you have to climb up on a ladder to do it. The swing set hardware came with stickers that you can use to get proper spacing for the hardware. So it's really easy to use. Just line up those stickers with the marks that you made with your T-square and pencil. After pre-drilling the holes, I was ready to install the swing set hardware with the lag screws that came with that hardware. Don't forget to use the washers that come with those lag bolts or lag screws too. They are critical, so you have to use those washers. After I tightened those lag screws as much as I could with the drill, I moved on to tightening them by hand. So I used an adjustable socket wrench at this point. Later on, I use a ratcheting one. Whatever you have on hand, go ahead and grab it. After you have all of the hardware on for the swings, you are ready to start assembling the swing set. One end of this 4x6 was a little bit bigger than the other side. So for this side, I used a piece of wood and a rubber mallet to knock that hardware into place. If that happens with any of your boards, just use this trick so that you don't damage that powder-coated metal. You want that metal bracket to be flush with the end of that board before attaching it to that 4x6. Then for the swing set brackets, you'll need to pre-drill the holes for the lag screws. The lag screws or the lag bolts that came with this hardware are a little bit bigger than they were for the swing hardware. So make sure you go a little bit bigger on the drill bit size and the socket wrench size. Hopefully whatever hardware you buy comes with the sizes in the instructions. Different hardware is going to use different lag bolts, so I'm not being too specific here. And again, don't forget to use those washers. You do need to use those, and make sure you do all of the screws and all of the holes on the hardware. So there's 3 on each side of this one on the 4x6, and then there are 2 on each side for the 4x4 post. After I installed the swing set brackets on each side of the 4x6 post, I moved everything to the ground to make it easier to work with the 4x4 legs for the swing set. When you push those 4x4s into the brackets, you want to make sure that that 4x4, the top of that 4x4, is touching the metal on the inside of the bracket. That'll help that bracket and that 4x4 posts work together to carry the weight of the 4x6. After you install all of the lag screws on all 4 of those legs, you are ready to lift that swing set into place. So this looks really awkward, but the only way we could figure out how to do this with 4 or just 2 adults is to walk those 4x4 posts along those 4x4 posts with our hands. After that, we could sort of inch the swing set into the exact spot we wanted it in before we attach the swings. Now, I have to say that when I use these 4x4 posts for the legs, I bought them at 10 feet long, and I left them that long because we were worried that if the swing set was too short, the boys wouldn't be able to swing as high on it. But the 10 feet was a little bit too long, so I could barely touch the ground once I sat down on the swing. So of course my kids weren't going to be able to touch the ground. So I think 9 feet high legs is the best size for older elementary school age kids for a swing set. So I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. I ended up cutting 1 foot off each of these 4x4 posts. So they're 9 feet long posts now. That makes the top of the swing set about 8.5 feet high. So this is my oldest swinging after I cut that 1 foot off. So these are the 9 foot long 4x4 legs on the swing set. And it's really the perfect height for both of them now, and it looks a lot better. When the legs were that 1 foot longer, it looked really awkwardly high. Again, I'll list everything that I used on our swing set build in the description below and the dimensions that I went with too. I want to say that if you decide that you don't want to go with a DIY swing set build and you want to instead buy a kit online, make sure you check the final height of the swing set. So because a lot of the swing sets that I saw for around the same price were a metal frame, but the height of the swing set was only going to be about 6 feet high. And it was only really made for kids 3 to 8 years old. So if you want this for older kids, for adults even to swing on, you need to go with a bigger, sturdier build. Also, you can find some brackets and some kits online that are made, the whole swing set is made with 2x4s instead of 4x4s and 4x6s. I don't think those are really durable and strong enough for heavier kids. You would have to anchor that lighter frame into the ground. So just be aware of all of those things when you're deciding which swing set you want to build for your kids. So right here, I'm pointing out that those angled legs don't fully sit on the ground right in the beginning when you start using this swing set. So you can either sort of dig those posts into the ground so that they're making full contact in the beginning, or just wait. They will settle into the ground as the kids use them, the grown-ups use them, as it rains. If you want to be extra safe, even though this swing set frame is really heavy, you can anchor these into the ground too. So you can buy swing set anchors. They're really easy to install. It's sort of like the tent anchors if you go camping. But that's it for this DIY swing set build. Guys, ask any questions you have in the comments below and be sure to check back for more DIY videos. Thanks, guys.